Posse Packer Nation. Welcome to another episode of Grossi and Grant's Rants. That's right. Thanks to J Pickles 11.
We have a name.
That's it.
We're in business. We are in business.
For this week, we're going Grossi and Grant's Rants.
What a name. What Grossi and Grant's Rants. It's like one of those like insulting but spot on. You know what I mean? Yes, we do rant.
100%.
We are a Grossi and we are a Grant. So like spot on. The most clever one. It's phenomenal. And you know what? Actually, it's not surprising that, of course, a child would be the most creative.
100%.
So I'm super excited. And yeah, I'm super proud of you, Jay Pickles. Little disappointed when it comes to all you adults. But you know what? We give you another week.
Yeah, another week. Listen, we're going to choose a new name every single week. We're just going to go through. The people who are going to try to trademark this show, you're never going to be able to do it. Because it's
you won't know. You might be able to find us, but you won't be able to grab us. There you go.
That's it. Mr. Ryan Grant, before we got started today, you're like, wait, hold on. I got to go get a jersey.
Absolutely.
I got to go. I was wearing a gray thermal. No, throw it in the garbage. Throw it in the garbage.
No, I said, listen, after those 2-week performances of the Packers, which clearly, if you just want to go by statistics, they're the best team in the NFL. But who cares about that? Who cares about statistics? I think it's deserving of wearing some jerseys. And I just happened to pull out, have a jersey, I might have bought a couple jerseys back in the day. So
just the NFL Pro Shop. They were doing a clearance.
I happen to have a couple jerseys, and I figured it was that time.
Yeah,
we're on the path.
I think. Listen, if there was a time to bust out the jerseys, it's right now. Have we scored 85 points in 2 weeks? I feel like that's it.
What are we talking about here? Are we playing basketball or are we playing football? What are we playing out here?
Honestly, I feel Matt LaFleur, I hear is pretty good at the basketball, even though he tore his ACL when he tried to play last summer. But we don't talk about that. We don't talk about that. I bet he could ball. I bet he could. He definitely could. But yes, I'm your host, Tom Grossi. That's my co-host, Ryan Grant. And we're back. Yeah. You missed me? And us? Yes.
Yeah, of course you did.
100%. 100%. And Mr. Ryan Grant, we have so much to talk about. We got so much to talk about.
We do, because there's so many good things that happen.
It is. And I couldn't be more excited for Sunday's game, which is going to be phenomenal. And then we have this past performance. And I got to say, week 2 in the NFL, there were some damn good football games.
Yeah, good football, on the other back end, some serious injuries. That's always disheartening to see. But I'm impressed with the product that's been put out as of recently.
And big names, too. You mentioned all the injuries. Obviously, the 49ers got decimated. Yeah. And then you got the Saquon Barkleys, the Cortland Suttons. You got so many guys that are just out for the rest of the year now, which is it's so disappointing. And I feel like I want to ask you, because a lot of people on the Twitterverse are like, is this because they didn't have preseason? Is this because, there wasn't enough camp? Or do you think it's just like one of those, it happens because the NFL's a violent game?
Combination of both. It's one of those, you got a bag of tricks that the game is violent, so it's going to happen regardless. And then, certain things come into play. You start changing routines. You start changing things. The body's not used to it. So I don't know. And it's not one of those things by any means. I think that it's probably a combination of everything. Every team does something a little different in regards to how they condition guys and how they might have tried to bring guys back up to speed since they didn't have the offseason program. So you don't really know. A lot of guys are doing stuff on their own. Yeah. So you don't actually know what they were doing. And it's not saying that they're not prepared. Sure. Sometimes, if anything, more than unprepared, some guys are over-prepared. Some guys overtrain. And it's just finding that balance is difficult sometimes. And especially when you know that you still are guaranteed to get hurt and injury just comes. So it's one of those things it's just disheartening. And, every year, I feel like every year there's something and it's like, oh man, injuries, they come and you never want it to be you, never want to be a part of your team.
Yeah.
But, even the Packers have had, even the first week, it was a little bit of an injury bug and guys were out and saw that. Thomas was out. I saw that Kenny didn't play, right?
Yeah. Nope, Kenny did not play.
Yeah.
And then
we had talked about that. We spoke about that. So I think that, it's one of those things that this is your productivity and your ability to be on the field is one of the most important things. We always talk about your value is in the fact that you can, number one, be out there and then perform. But if you can't even get a chance to be out there, that's hard. So I feel for all the guys that are going through injury, and then the teams that have to navigate around that. Welcome to that.
And that's the thing too, like you were talking about, like being trained and being prepared. And I'm just remembering like our first week, right? You're like, you get your signing bonus, you're going to get cut, and then like, you're going to get hurt. Like that's it. That's the only thing guaranteed. And, there are plenty of seasons where the Packers go through that, right? In which like they are crippled by injury, and that's why like I hate the early bye week. Like that's terrible. We lost the bye week lottery. And then, obviously Kenny's out, but then we lost Devontae. He has a hamstring, he's questionable, but thankfully he was able to relax on the sideline in the third quarter because we were so far ahead.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think it's that the whole, people don't understand the mitigation process of a season in the NFL. You literally are mitigating injury and how to keep guys physically prepared, not exhausted, but still strong. It's like, it's one of the greatest art is a performance and strength and performance coach, along with the athletic training staff of a team, and finding that balance. So kudos to all the teams that do a phenomenal job. And the teams that, even though they might catch serious injuries, are able to perform, like our Super Bowl team.
Yep.
We basically had the B squad out there, and those guys stepped up and performed like Super Bowl champion. They did. They got it done. So it's commendable, and it's one of those things that, hey man, good professional teams and organizations know how to do that, and they find guys that can next man up. That mentality in general around the league is important.
Yeah, and I feel like, what's fascinating too, and we'll talk about this as we get closer, but like the way that they've now restructured like the playoffs, right? In which there's only one team now that gets that week bye, that it gets to avoid the wild card. And I feel like you're just kind of asking for more injuries, right? Like you're asking to just be like, okay, that second team doesn't get that rest now. They're playing, all the way up. And if they're going to go all the way, they're playing that whole extra week. I'm personally not a fan of the extra team, like the whole 7 thing. Like I get it. Playoff football's fun. I'm all about it. But,
yeah. But would you be a fan of the money that it would bring in?
I mean, sure, absolutely.
Would you be a fan of the money? That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
It's funny that extra buy.
It's a double-edged sword.
It is, because you're playing for that. And I remember we always, you want to buy, you want to go into it. We felt like we could always be one of the top 2 teams in the NFC, and we're playing for that buy and competing. We want to win the division, and then you want to go across and one of the top teams. And then in the same breath with that buy, we also know that you want to be one of the best teams playing football. You want to be playing some of the best football at the end of the year, because you always know that no matter what, the team that's playing the best football going into the tournament is the most dangerous.
Yep.
And then you have that break, and it has the capacity to swing things because like you're on a roll. So it's one of those things that is like you play for it and you want it because you know the benefit of the break, and then you're like, oh, but is the break actually gonna hurt us? Because it's fun. Yeah, it's an iffy thing, man.
I feel like, in that same breath, like it's kind of like goes into like the momentum talk, and like how much of that within, there's obviously momentum within a game, right?
Absolutely.
And then there's like the momentum from week to week.
Yep.
And, you look at it from a stance of like Rodgers has come out and said multiple times, since the Super Bowl victory of like, we got to get an NFC championship game at home. And like under Rodgers, that never has happened, right? They're always on the road, whether it's in Chicago, whether it's in Atlanta or Seattle, or San Francisco. And like, it's one of those things of like, okay, maybe we get like the number 2 seed now, in which like we keep playing, but like we're almost guaranteed a home game unless we wind up playing the number 1 seed, in the finale. So it's like this hard thing to try and balance, because like you're talking about, it's like, like we take a break, we get to rest, and they're coming in hot because they just came off a playoff win.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just one of those things. And I get it. You know what? I appreciate it, because it's like, you can't have your cake and eat it too.
Sure.
So with that, yes, play to be the best. But even in that, if you want to, what comes with being the best, you get a little more rest. But guess what? When teams are hot and feeling smoking, confidence, interesting things. So keeping the ball rolling.
So, last week we made our pitch for two things. One, for the Green Bay Packers to sign us both. I haven't heard anything yet. I don't know if anyone's
yet. I'm still but a couple running backs. Well, maybe not the Green Bay Packers, but I don't know, man. Actually, you know what? Your chances are probably greater than mine as of right now after this performance last week. So
that's what I'm saying.
I got no chance.
Maybe someone else. I mean, another team might.
I'm bringing the guns out too. I'm trying to show them. But
you're just like, oh man, it's been real tough. Yeah, I worked out once, 100%. So what? So in that case, I mean, listen, running backs dropping all over the place. I mean, someone else is going to give you a call. As long as it's. I mean, we're still gonna do this show, right? Like,
we'll do the show. Yeah. This would be my day off, so we're good. This would be my day off.
Perfect. You just show up in like different jerseys every week.
No matter what. If I end up signing, I would still do the pack. I'd show up as a Packer just for this show, and then the rest of the week I would work for whoever I work for. This is the thing. It's a job, Tom. It's a job.
Coach is gonna call you in and be like, Ryan, you were rooting for the Packers and we're playing them this week, and you're just
I would say, if you don't recall, there are more than one Ryan Grants in this league. So
it's the wide receiver Ryan Grant.
I don't know what they're talking about. So
no, it's crazy. We'll turn off your camera so like we'll no one will know, and like it'll be fine. It'll be fine. We'll get past it. We'll get through it. And on top of that, we advocated for Aaron Rodgers to come on, and yet he was on Pat McAfee's show again today.
Yeah, well, I'll listen. I know Aaron. You need to warm up to him. We're good. We'll get Aaron at some point in time.
Okay.
Let's just give him a little time to get settled. He, it's not like he's just lounging. He does have some just a couple priorities that he has to do.
I'm tired of the excuses, Ryan. Like I'm just
trying to somewhat remembering that like it's not the easiest schedule to be the quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. So he might have a couple things on his plate.
I mean, Ryan, like I don't mean to boast or anything, but like. We're big guys too. I mean, like we got a lot going on, and I know, and I know that you 1 game a week, Aaron. Come on, I mean,
listen, at the end of the day, I don't think he knows. Like, does he know that you're 100,000 YouTube? Like, does he know? Like,
we're about to hit 107 today, Aaron. Like, I know you're like about to hit 1 million, but you know what? Listen, when you get big time, you lose the connection from the fans.
No, it's like, listen. I get it, Aaron. But that's what I said. So I'm trying to look out for him, giving a little bit of time. We'll work with it.
Okay. All right. Thank you for talking me off the ledge. So speaking of amazing things and speaking of amazing running backs, Aaron frackin' Jones, this past Sunday.
Just pay him.
So, like,
just pay him. Just pay him. Just pay him.
Whatever you want. I don't care what it is. Like, he literally like is the offense at times, and he showed that last year too. Like when you give him the ball, most of the times Packers win the game, right? And like when he's like running for 75 yards on the first play of the second half, I just imagine he's at like the 40 and it's just like, I'm going to make so much money like as he's running away. Because like that game just like proves the greatest game of his career. He's not only a threat on the ground, he's a threat through the air.
Yeah, he's killing him in the air too.
It's incredible. And even Jamal Williams played really well. A.J. Dillon showed those flashes again in his limited snaps.
Yeah.
And like –
is that the biggest – honestly, it's just the coach – LaFleur's – he's – the most pressure is on him.
Yes.
Because everybody is displaying backfield wide receivers, quarterback right now from an offensive aspect. Everyone is displaying – that they are more than capable, more than enough weapons, more than capable. LaFleur is basically in a position where it's like, dude, do not mess this up.
Yeah.
Say what you want, but you got ballers. You can't ask for anything more than what you have right now. You have a bunch of guys up front in the trenches that are getting it done. You've got Aaron Rodgers, who's just decent,
He's okay.
Just a little decent.
All right.
Forever. You've got wide receivers that are stepping up, like I said, that I think are stepping up on really becoming veterans, just like improving as vets. And then you got a backfield that are just a bunch of ballers, like young studs, all very different young studs. And Aaron is, of course, the leader of that group. And I'm like, listen, I want this kid to now just give him the money. I love all of them that's getting the money.
Find where it's coming
give them the ball. Fine. I don't care. Find a way, whatever.
That's it. Pull it out of like someone's college tuition. It's fine. You'll get it done. I mean, you just sell
the money
Chiefs cards.
and show them the ball.
I think what's crazy too is like you mentioned this, that all three running backs, and again, like Dylan really hasn't gotten involved yet because he hasn't had to, but the limited snaps.
And I think that, but listen, that weather will change at some point in time. And the fact of the matter is that because you're going to want Aaron Jones to be as much of the threat throughout the year, you're going to want to find times and find moments to let AJ because they're a high scoring offense. So they're going to be up in games. They're going to be up in some games where you're going to find some quote unquote, I don't like to call it because it's never garbage time, but sometimes they use that phrase, but time where you can put AJ in to give him some solid reps and, solid experience, time played and stuff like that. So they're in a really good position, I think, to develop guys throughout the year so that when it comes crunch time, like we said, end of the year, when we need all cylinders, firing, I think they're in a really good position.
And I think it's what I loved about it, and we talked about this last week, is that the first week, Aaron goes nuts, throws 4 touchdowns, is incredible through the air. This week, it's all about the run game. Rodgers still has a great game. The run game is still incredible. And then the defense, I will say, the first quarter was a little scary, but able to go and score over 30 unanswered points, to be able to come back. DeGuara was out, Adams was out in the third quarter, missing some pieces. And again, like it's only week 2. And I don't want to overblow anything or overhype anything. We are going to the Super Bowl, but I think it's crazy that like this is week 2 and this is where we're at right now. Like you got to be pretty damn happy with it.
No, of course. First of all, like I said, I think we need to all keep it in perspective. You play, the NFL is a 1 week at a time game. And there you go. It's a 1 week at a time game. And to be able to get 2 weeks in a row, boom, you want to stack wins upon wins. You want to stack performances upon performances. So not only did they get the W, which is, of course, the number one goal, but they've stacked some solid performances, along with wins. Because you could have a solid performance and still not get the W, but they've gotten both of those. And then the reason why we said that is because these 2 weeks were really important going into this next week.
Yep.
Because of what we got. So looking forward, I feel really strong about the situation, especially what happened to the opposing team.
Yes. Yeah. And, it was one of those things that we may have lucked out, right? So Kenny Golladay wasn't there for the Lions. They were missing some corners. Heading into this week, we don't know about Michael Thomas from the Saints. He didn't play last night. Who knows?
I don't think that's going to happen.
Day-to-day guy.
High ankle sprain, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Even if he didn't play, it would be. I don't know if it would even make sense for the Saints' longevity aspect of.
It's only week 3. Yeah. I get you. And watching some of that Raiders game last night, like the Saints struggled against the run, and we're talking about how good our backfield is, and I'm like, oh, okay, like this is going to be, and I think like this is a perfect.
Why you pay him the money? Pay him the money now.
Just give it to him right now.
Because if he runs for even more, you're gonna have to pay him more.
So you bring up a really interesting point. We'll talk about the Saints game in a second, but you talk about a guy like Kevin King, right? Yeah. So Kevin King, our corner, who played really good football. Jair is like making the argument to be that number 1 guy. Kevin King, though, who had a great end and finish to last season.
He was solid towards the end of the year. I think he was one of those guys that keep an eye on him, because I actually think that from a confidence level, he's, he doesn't come in with Jair's flair and the name behind him, but I think he has the ability to be the same type of playmaker and leader. And
he said that in press conferences too. Like, do you feel any type of way when they're calling like Jair number one. And he goes, I don't care what they call anybody. Like, you're going to have 2 number ones out there. So if you're able, and he's in a contract year as well. I mean, like, that's the problem too. Like, there's so many guys that are in a contract year. David Bakhtiari, Corey Linsley, Kevin King, Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams. It like that's a lot of playmakers. You know, we took care of Kenny Clark, but like it's and especially next year with the cap, going down, it's going to be.
In this position, I have nothing to do with front office. I can sound as ignorant and uninformed and unequipped. Pay them all. I don't care. Get it done. I'm a fan at this point. So in my illogical, naive fan stance, pay them all. Make it happen.
Just give them all the money. Just give them all the money.
Just give them all the money. Because they all deserve it.
That's it. Rossi and Grant rants out.
There you go. I agree with me. Okay, rant end.
Rant
okay.
Done. Yeah, I think, it's going to be interesting to see. But right now, I'm super happy with what this team has to offer. And listen, Ryan, the haters are already out. Because they're like, oh, you just beat the Vikings. And the Vikings, which, by the way, the Vikings sucked.
Oh, and 2.
Oh, they got destroyed. It was great. That was fun. But it's the Vikings, it's the Lions. It's already starting of just like, oh, you're
of course,
scoring,
but that's gonna happen. And then they're gonna say that your division's not strong because they're just not. They can't find a way to win. Not our problem.
No, because you beat the team that's in front of you.
Yeah, you do. Exactly. Like, we're literally handling our business. And like I said, handling our business, but also putting together solid performances leading up to, you want to build on performances. And so that when you go into the games, which quote unquote are the ones that will make people maybe believe a little bit more, like this game, no matter what happened at this game, they'll find a way to make an excuse, but that's a given.
Easy.
And I think, but I do think, like we said, we talked about it last week, false confidence, real confidence. I think that we're building some real confidence. I know Aaron is strong, feels super solid about what we're doing.
Ryan, I'm just going to say, I'm not going to accuse anybody of plagiarism here, but we had that conversation of confidence and false confidence. Aaron Rodgers does a press conference after that episode, starts talking about confidence. I'm just saying.
Oh, well, no. It's a given. What do you mean?
All I'm saying is Aaron's obviously watching the show. My past has a little time with Aaron. We're from the same, we got the same building blocks. So we're going to pull, I'm just saying, I think it's very easy to connect the dots and say that Aaron Rodgers is obviously watching this show and is going, that's a great talking point. I'm going to bring that up next time Rob Domofsky asks me a question.
Listen, I don't want to toot any horns, but I know Aaron appreciates my point of view. This is Aaron. You're the best. He knows that. He knows I think he is the best.
Sure.
He also knows run the ball. He knows I love to run the ball. Twofold. You're the best, Aaron. Run the ball. That's it.
Done. We're good. And that pretty much solidifies it. So you look at a guy like Drew Brees, who last night, the accuracy,
not the best. Yeah.
It wasn't the best. And we were, thinking, is this the week or the week? This is the year that Drew Brees potentially drops off a little bit. And that's going to be the narrative heading into this.
I'm not going that far.
No, we're not going. It's because it's week 2.
Yeah.
But I will say, this might be the last time that we get to see Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees face off. And it's Sunday Night Football. And I think that this is going to be a phenomenal game. And I think that this is a perfect litmus test to be like, okay, yeah, we scored all these points on these teams. Now, let's play with the big dogs here.
This is the best gauge that you can get early on. And, a lot of teams, and I'm pretty sure the Packers still do this, they break the season up into quarters. So you want to basically go 4-0 in the first quarter. Yeah. And I think that leading up to this is, of course, the big dog game in each quarter, in the first quarter. And to put a performance out in the manner that they want to do it against this type of caliber team that, no matter what their record ends up being, that this is the caliber type of team that you're going to see in the playoff setting. So this is what you want to put a statement in the first quarter and say, you know what? Yeah, we got to work on some things. And guess what? Everybody's still like, oh, it's early. Guess what? Early, we're rocking. So you want to go out there. If we can put a solid, dominating performance on paper, either way, we're going to Super Bowl. But
100%, 100%. And that's just
this is just it looks good for viewership. It looks
on
good
the resume. You know, again, like ratings out a little bit. Yeah, no, I get it. That's totally fine. And I think, you know, you mentioned like the quarters, right? So the schedule doesn't get like any easier here because then you have the Falcons next week, which is not an easy game. I think the Falcons are a pretty good team. Then you have the Buccaneers. Falcons are at home, I Bleav. Yes.
Okay. All right.
And then you have the Buccaneers in Tampa, which should, you know, against Tom Brady, Rodgers and Brady.
I think that's a tough. Honestly, I think that's a tough one.
And their defense is actually looking real good. The Buccaneers.
Yeah, no, they're solid. I remember I said that before though. They got young squad, young defense that I'm. And everybody was talking about that offense rocking and everything like that. But you know, they got to get some things rolling cylinder wise, and a defense flying around, young guys. That's a game to look out for. But you know, I don't want to.
One game at a time. That's it. You see who's in front of you. So right now we got the Saints, Drew Brees. The biggest concern that I have for this game is not how the offense is going to perform. It's how the defense is going to perform. You know, you have Alvin Kamara, you have Latavius Murray, two great backs in which like that is like that thunder lightning. You know, Kamara, just like Aaron Jones, is incredible in the run game. Also, they just paid Alvin Kamara. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Packers about paying Aaron Jones. Just saying. You can do it before the game. Yeah, I mean, how do you see this game going? Do you see it as like a high-scoring game? Do you see it as like a low-scoring potentially? Because I feel like there's a lot of games I go in and I'm like, oh, they're going to put up, you know, 40-something points each, and then it's like 12-15.
I actually, I do think it's going to be somewhat high-scoring. I just don't think it's going to be high-scoring early on.
Okay. All right.
I think that, the first quarter might be kind of like a little tough it out, but I think that it's an interesting thing. We're still no fans, right?
No. I mean, again, some stadiums are like jumping in. I think the Falcons announced that like they're starting in October, they're having some.
Okay, but as of right now, we're no fans.
Yeah, I don't think there's any fans in New Orleans.
No, I think that it starts the level of like high flying and all that stuff. I think opens up later on in the game. I do.
Yeah, no, I think it's gonna be a fun game, and I think, you know, to kind of like wrap this up, the Packers right now, not only are they 2-0, but they've also are 2-0 within the division. You know, and putting away two opponents easy. LaFleur is still undefeated within the division, and then you look at the 2-0 Bears, who are like barely squeaking out wins against the Lions.
What I talked about.
And the Giants.
Yeah, remember what I talked about? I talked about, you know, number one, you want to get the win, which is good. Yep. Kudos to that Chicago team. The Bears, they got the W. That's what you want because they are 2-0 on the stats. But the performances are shaky.
Let's just say they're no Green Bay Packers.
A little shaky. So you know, kudos. Hey, it is what it is. But I know, trust me, they don't feel as well with what they're putting on film.
Yeah. By
any means. And the conversations are on, we got to clean this up. We got a W. That's the most important thing. I said it's a lot easier to come to work on Monday when you get a W. But they got a lot of shit they need to clean up. They're not feeling good. Ain't no dance cam for those dudes like they are for the running backs of Green Bay.
It's very true. No, that's very, very true. So I think as a Packers fan, you couldn't be happier with what you see right now. And
it was great.
Still plenty of time to clean it up. And that's what I think I really like about LaFleur too, is like he keeps talking about like the drops that still are occurring, the defense's slow start. And it's always like there's always room for improvement. You could put up 40+ points every single week, but he's just like, nope, this still needs to improve. This still needs to improve. And I'm like,
yes. That's coach talk. And he needs to do that for the media, for the press, for the team. But guess what? They high-fiving when it I get all that. That's all necessary. And it is true. And they definitely have some stuff they could definitely work on. But real quick, I want to give a shout out to Gary. The young guy, Gary, stepped it up. A couple pressures. I think got a sack, right? Yeah. So
sack and a half. We got a bunch of
come on now.
Pressures.
He's hometown. He's hometown for me. So it's always good to see guys get opportunity and ball and show and prove the way we know they can. So listen, I don't know about you.
I'm so looking forward to him playing this season. Like, I think we talked about this early on. One of the guys that we think we're going to explode this season, and it was Rashawn Gary. And
I look, he's
so far.
Just give him opportunity. And like I said, Floyd, pressure's on you, boss, because you got a bunch of guys. You got to figure out how to get them the ball and how to let them play.
Yep.
So it's a great position to be in. So you can't ask for too many players. So I think I'm excited, man. It's like every week we're in a good position to inevitably go to the Super Bowl.
Of course. Like, we all know how this story is going to end.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
That's it.
We all know how it's going to end. But it's about the journey.
The journey. Right? So right now we're enjoying the journey and we're being present to it all. But we know inevitably.
Listen, this is going to be the point where, like, they're just trying to fill content for the DVD that's going to come out at the end of the season of Super Bowl champions, Green Bay Packers. This is like the chapter 1. You're looking at it.
Opponent, blah, 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 whatever. But, and I like, to be honest with you, I like what's happening in regards to, like, the quote-unquote antagonist aspect of some teams are playing good football as well. Who cares?
No, we don't care.
Whatever.
Like, we're talking about, like, Saints, Packers. They're talking about, like, Chiefs, Ravens Monday night, which should be a really good game. But we're not talking. We don't care. The AFC. We don't care.
Yeah, it's like, what doesn't matter.
No. We're not talking about them. We're not.
You know what? I even like the fact that team in the Pacific Northwest is playing decent football. Whatever. Let them have it. They deserve to play decent football.
Sure,
you know what?
Sure.
Guess what? It's interesting that they've been playing solid football the past few years. Solid draft, solid players. Who's their GM? Where'd they come from? Green Bay. Oh, everything ties back to Green Bay.
So what you're saying is that what's going to eventually happen in the NFC Championship game, the GM's going to be like, you know what, Russell Wilson, I know that we can go and win. Take a seat, bud. We're benching you just because they want to see us get another Lombardi. I think that's the right thing to do.
Yeah, you know what? I don't even know if they make it. Who knows? They're playing good football now. We'll see.
We'll see. That's it, Mr. Ryan Grant. We'll see. But Ryan, tell the people where they can find you as we get another week closer to the pod releasing. We're getting another week closer.
We just filmed a couple. Well, we are another week closer. Coming up soon. Ryan.Grant on Instagram. Ryan Grant 25 on Twitter. What else do we have? You can holler at me on Facebook, but I probably won't holler at you back. So, but you definitely, anybody knows, I'm pretty frequent on Twitter and I'm pretty frequent on Instagram. So come check me out, holler at me, show me what your thoughts are.
That's it. And suggest new show names.
Yeah, new show names. I'm actually working. No, I'm just saying, Jersey, I don't care about the orange. But
I wasn't. I was just, I had an itch. I had to just pull it up for a second.
There you go. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with what do you mean? 100 push-ups a day, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, I try to do 100, but sometimes I just can't stop, and I'm just like, oh man.
No, I dig it. It's like, I just so many I just keep going. My arms just want to keep pumping.
Yeah. Sometimes like if I need a rest,
I heard that
I'll
from
100,
like
but
nobody.
It's
never.
It's tough. It's tough.
I do want to. I'm going to take some time and think this week about for the winners of the name game to make it a little more enticing. A little bit more. Build the anticipation a little bit for it to make it a little bit more of a demand for you to pick out, become creative with these names. Maybe some memorabilia. Maybe I got to see. Maybe I might be able to swing a ticket here and there. I got to see. Yeah, we're gonna work it out. We're gonna see.
I have one final question for you, and I don't know if you know this answer because this might just be me not doing my research. I was seeing in other stadiums how they have cardboard cutouts of like fans and stuff. Yeah. Do you know if Lambeau's doing that?
I do not.
I feel like
what I heard was that they were going to do ads.
Yes, they definitely did ads. They did like the tarps.
It's funny, and I actually think that this might be a very ignorant take, and just naive, but because smaller markets, sponsors and all that are really important. For the market of
very much so.
So that it might be more advantageous for them to do the ad work I don't know. And and at the same time, the fans are. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
All I'm saying is that Green Bay Packers, if you don't, because we don't know, if you are not allowing fans in the stadium, I mean, like, listen, I'll drop a few bucks. Ryan Grant, Tom Grossi cutouts.
If two of us cut out, listen.
Let's go.
I'm in there. If they're doing cutouts, I want a cutout.
Let's go. And I want right behind the bench. I want
right behind the bench.
600 section.
I want right behind the bench, and I want to. But I'm putting a sign up that says "Run the ball."
Yeah,
that's what I want. Right behind the bench, right behind Aaron's bench. Not even like right behind the quarterback bench. Don't put me where the running backs are. The running backs know they want to run the ball.
They know already.
Put me behind the quarterback, and every time I just want to be like this: run the ball.
That's it. I'm just saying. I think it needs to happen. So, you know what? I'll reach out to Mark. And I'll see what they're doing, and we'll drop a few shekels, and we'll get it done.
But I will say, this game, look out! It's going to be interesting. These backfields are going to be it's going to be a great competition between both backfields because they're very similar. I think they're going to go at each other. I'm expecting the linebacking core to do a really good job with Kamara and how they do.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm excited, and I think what's funny. I think they're going to rise to the challenge, and I think LaFleur is going to make it a little challenge and say, you know what, they think they got the serious receiving balanced backfield. Watch, and he's going to put some little packages in for those guys.
And I would honestly love, like, we saw passing game, running game. Let the defense just ball out this game. Hold them to 3 points. I don't care if it's a 10-3 final score. Hold them to 3 points. Let's go. And just beat your teams differently every week.
What are they looking like? What's the defense looking like yardage-wise in regards to yards allowed?
So the Packers right now are 10th in yards per game allowed at 344.5.
Not bad, especially considering that fourth quarter of last week's game, the first week's game, they let wasn't even just run up and down. So I'm not mad at that.
No, I'll take that all day of the week, every day, every day,
absolutely,
100%. Mr. Ryan Grant, it's been a pleasure. This has been another episode, the first episode of Grossi and Grant's Rants. Will be something different next week.
Absolutely.
The challenge, you always know where to find me, Tom Grossi Comedy, on all the social medias and all that great, wonderful stuff. Check us out on the audio on the Bleav network, and we'll keep rocking next week. So,
perfect, brother.
Ryan Grant, a pleasure as always.
Go Pack, go. You already know.
Go Pack, go.